are seeing police body cam video of the moment officers approached Luigi Mangione inside an Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's last year. Watch this.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. What's your name?
Mark.
What is it?
Mark.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Mark what?
Rosario.
Rosario? Someone called. They thought you were suspicious.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you have your ID on you?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Thanks. I thought she looked like someone guilty to.
Wow, that video was played in a pretrial hearing, which is happening right now. The officers who arrested Mangione testified about debating whether they needed a search warrant to look in his backpack, which goes to the heart of this hearing. Joining us now to discuss is CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson. Really compelling, basically, to see that interview. What are your key takeaways, that video? What are your key takeaways from it?
Yeah, there's a number of them. Good to be with you, Wolf and Pam. What's happening in this pretrial proceeding is that the defense is trying to exclude evidence from the jury. That is, when there is the jury trial, that's not now. This proceeding is happening in front of a judge. The judge has to know what was the nature of the interaction between police and Mr. Mangione. Was it legal? Was it proper? And so the takeaway is this provides context. They were called, that is the police, to that McDonald's in Pennsylvania, and it was because there was some suspicious person, according to people there. The police then interacted with them. The judge is going to have to determine the initial statements that were made. We know that the defense is trying to get them out in addition to the backpack. Was this part just of their mere investigation? Was it just they were asking investigatory questions? Was he free to leave at that particular time? Or were they incriminating him? That is going to be, Pamela and Wolf, what they're parsing out. Next, as to the bag, the takeaway will be, why did they search the bag? Was it in their grabbable area such that it represented a threat to them? Was it in a situation where, for example, it could have had a bomb or something else in it? So these are critical things here as we're looking at that, and those are critical questions, right? Why are you searching the bag without a backpack, the defense is going to say. The backpack without a warrant, the defense is going to say. And if the police did it wrong, those things become inadmissible, meaning they cannot be seen before a jury. The judge will decide after hearing all the evidence.
And as you point out, Joey, Mangione's lawyers will argue that police in Pennsylvania did not have a search warrant to go ahead and search his backpack. Inside that backpack, by the way, they found a gun, a fully loaded magazine, a silencer, a cell phone, and a passport. Could they get key evidence like that thrown out of this state murder case?
So they potentially could, and let's talk about that. You saw the evidence, or you see the evidence there on the table. When you're talking about a case, and it's a murder case, not that there's not other evidence in the case, such as an actual surveillance with him allegedly engaged in the killing, such as a wrapper with his fingerprints there at the time of the killing, such as other information, but that's a separate story for a separate day. They would, that is, prosecutors, be able to use that information, but this that we're looking at, which are the contents in the bag, would be excluded. And there's a lot of evidence in there, like the manifesto, which evidences his intent, like that cartridge we're looking at, like the gun itself, like other information that would be suggestive that he engaged in this. So the critical inquiry is going to be whether the police had probable cause. As we look at the gun there, all that in the backpack. Did the police have probable cause to go into that actual backpack? Now, in a normal situation, when you engage in an arrest, anything that's next to the defendant, which they call in their grabbable area, is subject to be searched because it could represent a threat to officers. This particular backpack was not within his reach, so why did they search it? It didn't pose an immediate threat, the defense will say, so why did you search it? You should have gotten a search warrant, is the defense's claim. The prosecution says we would have inevitably discovered it anyway when we took the backpack and we did an inventory search on the backpack. So those are the issues the judge will have to grapple with, Wolf, to determine whether this evidence should be admitted before the jury or excluded before the jury. But that's going to be a critical question, because if it's excluded, prosecutors will not be able to use this evidence in their case against Luigi Mangione at the time of trial.
So what would that mean for the prosecutors? I know you pointed out there's other evidence, but not being able to use this crucial evidence found in the backpack, What would that mean for the prosecutor's case, potentially?
So, Pamela, it would be a big win. It would be a big win for the defense, in as much as when you're prosecutors, you want to tell the jury the whole story. You want to be able to tell the jury that, hey, by the way, this individual who's on trial was approached by the police and made statements. He handed over an ID that was not him, clearly a different name. He made other statements saying he was not in New York, saying he was homeless, misleading the police. That's to the statements if the judge throws those out. So you would not be able to use that before the jury. If the judge throws out the issues and all the information in the backpack, the manifesto's important because it goes to his intent, his dislike of the insurance industry, why he would engage in this crime. It has the gun in there. It has the cartridge in there. It has a map in there, all which could not then be used if the judge throws it out, Pamela and Wolf, before the jury. Now, very important, while it would hamper the prosecution's case, it would not be overwhelmingly detrimental to the prosecution's case. You could argue any evidence that's damning against a defendant would be detrimental, yes. But there's other things like surveillance that we see the shooting. That's important. His DNA at the scene, that's important. All that would come in. This stuff would be excluded. So if the defense wins, it's huge. And that's why there have been over a dozen witnesses to date telling the story and explaining to the judge that this was legal and proper. Because at the end of the day, I'll end here, the system is based on fairness. And if you're stopping someone and arresting someone and the court thinks it's not fair, anything they have is not allowed to be shown to the jury. That's what this is all about.
Joey Jackson, we always appreciate your legal analysis.
Joined by John Miller, CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst. So we learned that the officers, they were confident that he was the suspect.
You know, this is 1 year ago today.
It's crazy.
When they rolled up, they said, you know, these calls come in all the time. It's probably not the guy. He said, could you lower your mask? He said, the minute he lowered his mask, I knew it was him. You had Joe Detweiler, who's been on the job for a while. And then you had Tyler Fry, his partner, who's been on for 6 months with the Altoona Police Department. And you're watching him walk into the arrest of a career.
Customers, though, were suspicious at the McDonald's. He thought he was the suspect. How do people know to flag him?
So the picture was everywhere. Right. Pictures. There was a picture of him in a Starbucks. There was a picture of him in a taxi, which just showed this much of his face.
There was no like full face image.
No, but you know, there were ones where the distinctive eyebrows stood out, and you know, there he was in the mask, the same way it was in the picture. So 2 or 3 customers kind of talked to her. They finally got the manager to call the police, and she said, you know, it's not an emergency, but 2 or 3 of my customers think this is the guy, and police rolled up.
It's also interesting that authorities apparently found a note allegedly from Mangione telling himself to tweeze his eyebrows and that he had a tweezer.
He had a list of things to do, and one of them was pluck eyebrows, and the rest was, you know, kind of about travel routes and making his way west. But this has become a subject of big controversy in court because, you know, what we see is, can you lower your mask? And, you know, then 2 other officers arrive, and then 2 more and a supervisor. But what the defense is trying to do is saying, once they separated him from his bag, you know, the officer's safety issue, if we need to go through that, what if he grabs it and pulls out a gun? Once they move the bag away, that wasn't an issue anymore. But they went through the bag, and in there's the notebook that has basically the letter, the manifesto, in it has the smoking gun that was tied.
But can they go through? I mean, are they allowed to just go through his bag if it's based on the safety concern?
So yes. If it's a safety concern, you can pat the suspect down. If he has access to a bag, you can look in the bag and eliminate, okay, there's no gun, there's no bomb here. The defense argument is, well, after they pushed the bag away from him and he didn't have access to it, could they still go through it? And what the police officer who said, you know, on these videos was, as she's going through the bag, somebody said, maybe we should get a warrant. And she said, I don't think we need a warrant, is when they're going to arrest him. He's given them a fake driver's license. When you're searching that bag, when you arrest somebody, you're going to search the bag, you're going to inventory the property, you're going to write it all down, so when he gets out, you know, he gets back everything that was in the bag and so on. So she says, I'm going through the bag incident to arrest. I'm not doing a search, but that's the legal contention. They'd love to get rid of the manifesto, which reads like a confession. They'd love to get rid of the smoking gun. They'd love to get rid of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the gun is found later when they do the inventory search, but they'd love to get rid of the things found before that.
John Miller, thank you.